tested by the Mark.
Okay, they did. Remember they said all juniors are required to take it.
I don't want to take it because I don't want to be.
No,
I want to
you
sit
can
next
sign
to
there.
No,
other
it's
people, so I
good.
can
It's
feel
not
the
just
part.
it's not just if you're gonna be in the military. It's
Will they start recruiting me if I do decent?
if you do
Start
decent, yeah, they'll be like, oh, we want you to join, and you just say no, I'm not joining, or just come up with something like some kind of
Give me
weird
money.
stuff like Viva la Revolution, and tell them you're an anarchist or something like that, and they'll leave you alone. Yeah.
God.
Tell me I'm back.
Something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you tell them you're crazy,
You tell them you're on psych meds, they'll
Yeah,
just say
yeah.
no.
They pretty much don't want you to. Or if you're happen to be at work and when the Navy recruiter calls and your mom answers, trust me, they'll never call you again. That's what happened to me. I don't even know what happened in that conversation, but all I know is the Navy recruiter stopped bothering me, so that was good.
What'd you tell him?
I don't know. I don't know what my mom said to him, but he never called again. So. I can get my mom to answer the phone call for y'all if you would like. I'll hire her out for y'all. So that's Wednesday. Thursday we're gonna have a vocab test, and
Friday we made a lot of stuff.
Thursday's the vocab test, and you'll have a quiz, also an open note quiz over the thing that we do tomorrow, and then Friday. I don't know. You know, you can't really plan for those days because they're just bonkers. Some people will be here, some people won't be here. It'll just be bonkers.
What's our schedule we're gonna be on Friday? Is it gonna be like
No idea.
the first?
They haven't told us.
It's
always crazy.
It's always crazy. Yeah.
I just go when
Yeah. Just show up and we'll just figure it out together. It'll be great. It'll be a magical day for all of us. Did we finish the notes in here? I feel like we didn't. I feel like we didn't get to women's suffrage.
No.
I don't think so. So do we have to be completely silent when you start this?
No, God no. It's actually already started. It's been going.
They know
Yeah.
my they know my voice.
Hey, this is
I
Molly
can
Williams?
turn it around so you can say hi if you want.
No, let's say hi.
No.
I gotta brush my hair first.
Oh, you wanna say hi?
Hey.
There you go.
This is Allison. Megan here.
There
That's
you go.
Riley. That's Megan. There's another Riley. Okay, thanks, Patrick.
There you go.
Who was in it?
I feel bad for the virtual kids now.
You forgot Raymond.
Who's virtual? There's not a whole lot of people. I think I have 13, 12.
Are they like on there right now, or you're just gonna send it to me?
No, it goes on YouTube, but it's
On YouTube.
It's an unlisted one on YouTube. You have to have the link in order to get it. So
Raven, go say hi to him.
Raymond, don't say hi.
yeah.
Raven, go say hi.
Oh.
I'm good.
I'm
on YouTube, guys.
So yeah, just to backpedal a bit from the notes last time, we didn't really get to the women's suffrage part, but it's important that we talk about. So it was one of the biggest, or is the thing that affected the most people, reform things that happened during the progressive era. So we all know this, especially if you're a woman, you know this, that forever and ever and always, men have been in positions of power and women have not been in positions of power. Huh?
I know, right?
Yeah, right?
So unfair.
Right.
I can smell the offer.
Yeah, right? So at one point, there's been laws in the history of our country. I mean, have you ever heard the saying rule of thumb?
Oh, I know that one.
Where does that come from, Christian?
You could beat your wife with a stick no wider than the width of your thumb.
That's it. Yeah, that's
Oh,
where we get
Lord.
rule of thumb. Yeah. So, like, legally, you could beat your wife as long as the stick wasn't bigger than your thumb. When women married, their husband got their property if they happened to have any. If a woman worked, her pay went to her husband. And in fact, for a long, long time, women, when they got married, they stopped being them and started being Mrs. whoever. So, like, if you married a woman named
Holly.
Jane, right?
We're not saying that out loud.
Say Mosher, you married Ariana Grande, right? So Ariana Grande would no longer be Ariana Grande. She would be Mrs. Caden Mosher.
Mr. and Mrs.
That's how she would sign her name. That's how, like, people did it for a long, long time. You ask the people around here, like, that's how their moms.
It's Mr. and Mrs.
Some people still, like, are hardcore that way. But it's a bit different now. Yeah, you lost your identity and your identity became your husband. So that was the rule for a long, long time. Women started fighting for the right to vote in the mid 1800s. I mean, it just makes sense, right? I mean, women are just people. We deserve the right to vote. The fact that it was ever a non-issue is kind of appalling to me. Susan B. Anthony was one of the women's suffrage fighters. She fought for more than 50 years. She was arrested for voting in 1872, charged $100 for voting. She never paid that fine. She formed the National American Women's Suffrage Association. During her lifetime, she actually never got the right to vote, but it was because of her efforts that it happened. In 1874, the Supreme Court ruled that women were citizens, but they couldn't vote because voting was not a privilege of citizenship. Which I don't know.
It's like a privilege of not being a citizen.
What is? Yeah, exactly. If it's not a privilege of citizenship, what is it, right? And what is the reason? Like, why were women not allowed to vote? Besides women not having a penis, like, what is the reason for women not being able to vote? Like, literally, somebody tell me. Someone please explain it to me.
Imagine being a citizen and not having representation.
Absolutely,
You know,
which has been
we-
many people in their history.
Don't think we're good with that.
Can somebody explain it to me? Like, seriously, like, give me your ideas. Why would it hurt for a woman to be able to vote?
Then they could like control her actions.
So you think it's about power and control?
Well, it's always been about power and control.
Guys, can you give me some enlightenment? I mean, I don't know what it's like to be a dude. Why is it such a big deal for women to not be able to vote?
Well, I've never voted personally.
Well, I
The
guess
times I thought about it, I was like, well, maybe. Because they're like, that's silly. We shouldn't do that.
Like, I had a conversation with an older gentleman the other day about politics and stuff like that, and we were talking about presidents and stuff like that. And he made the statement, well, I don't have a problem with a woman president. And, like, why is that an issue? Like, why is it even an issue, you know? You ever thought about that? Like,
Misogyny over the years.
Is it just ingrained in our being or whatever? I don't know. I don't have the answers. I cannot figure it out. It really baffles me that there are people who are so hell-bent on there not being a woman president or there not being women representation. It really baffles me, and I just don't understand it. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she's the one that just passed away. She's the Supreme Court justice that just passed away. They asked her because she was a fighter for women's equality and women's rights and stuff like that. And they asked her. They said, when will it be enough? Like, when will there be enough women on the Supreme Court? Right? And she said, when there are 9 and it's not an issue anymore. You know, can you imagine there being 9 women on the Supreme Court and nobody batting an eye about it, nobody thinking anything of it?
That'd be crazy.
I mean, if
That's
they're good at
I
their
feel like
job-
that's a long ways away.
I feel like
What?
a
if
lot
they're
of
good
people
at their
have
job, then
problems
sure.
Exactly. That why aren't they judged by who cares about their gender or their race or their whatever? If they're good at their job, why can't that just be what we recognize them for?
And the Bible says we're all created equal, so why don't we just take that?
I don't, you know, it
Because
baffles
everyone's
it
a little
baffles
different.
me. We've made so many advances in human evolution and science and technology and all that, and yet we still judge people on their gender or their race or
Believe.
what their beliefs or whatever, and we don't just say, hey, you do a good job, you know, you should, you know what I mean? This is crazy, but I don't know. Either we'll get there or a giant asteroid will take us all out.
I'm fine with either one.
Either one is
Wow.
fine with me, yeah. Anybody know which state gave women the right to vote first?
Pennsylvania.
No? Ooh, with the Quakers, you'd think, but no. They were the first to abolish slavery. It was Wyoming. Wyoming, yeah. The thing that really turned the tides for us getting the right to vote, the women's suffrage movement was heckin' strong in the early 1900s. With a lady named Alice Paul, who you want to talk about hardcore. She went to jail for protesting outside the White House, which is just awesome. And she went on a hunger strike, right? And they did not want to make her a martyr. Do you know what a martyr is?
They die for their cause.
When somebody dies for their cause, and usually what that does is it creates like an uproar and people get real. So they didn't want her to be a martyr. So they force fed her. They put a tube down her throat and force fed her. I'm gonna have to show you all that video. It's from a movie called Iron Jawed Angels. It was on HBO, and it's pretty great. And yeah, they try to make her put her in a mental institution, all kinds of stuff. So, but during World War I, women started working in the factories more and really stepped up and took the place of men in the factories and continued production during World War I while the men were all fighting. And that was the thing that kind of tipped it, where women could say, "Hey, look, we're actually here working. We're the ones keeping this country running. How dare you, deny us the right to vote?" So it got passed. Thank God. All right, this part is not exciting. There's not anything I can do to make this part exciting. We're just talking about the government during the Progressive Era. We have the Democratic Party, we have the Republican Party. Those have been the two major parties for most of the history of our country. And they're the ones that we still have to this day. They're the ones you see about, they're the ones you hear about because they have the most money. They're the ones who are able to buy the advertisements and stuff like that. But there are other political parties that exist out there, and they're called third parties because I guess they're the redheaded stepchildren. Did I give you notes? I did. And during this time period, there was a major third party that existed called the Populist Party, and it was the party for the common man. It represented the farmers and the workers and the miners. Whenever you see populist or populism, you should think farmers. Right off the bat, farmer. If you think farmers and silver with populist, then you'll be able to answer any question the state of Texas throws at you in that EOC. And it was very much a us versus them mentality, a poor versus rich mentality, where they wanted the government to, the rich had a stranglehold on the government. And they wanted the government to end poverty and injustice and stuff like that. A lot of this stuff that we talk about, we still haven't figured out yet. But a few of these things that they wanted, we actually did succeed in. They wanted unlimited coinage of silver. They said it would raise farm prices. They wanted term limits for the president. They wanted only 1 4-year term for president. What do you think about that? No comment.
We only have 2.
Right now, they only have 2. That's true. This was before that was even passed, so pretty
How
good.
many did they have before?
Unlimited.
Makes sense then.
There should be some type of limit.
I
It's
think
gonna
that
get old.
it
and
should
I
be.
think
Now we're talking about term limits for senators and representatives, which I think would be amazing.
I like that.
Direct election of senators, so the senators being chosen by the people instead of by the state legislatures. A secret ballot, which that makes sense, right? And we don't even think about that, I think, because that's just what we have and that's what we know. But remember back to the political machines who were like, if you don't vote for my person, I'm going to break your kneecaps, right? And you've got voting where they can see who you're voting for and they know whose kneecaps to break, right? But if you go and vote and there's no goons standing there, trying to intimidate you to vote for a certain person, then it's going to open it up and make it more free and more democratic. They wanted government ownership of utilities. They wanted immigration restrictions. They wanted quotas, which are limits on how many people could come from each country. So the same kind of story that people holler about today about how the immigrants are taking all the jobs, they were hollering about that back then too. Neither time was it true. I mean, people are hiring all over the place.
The only reason I see quotas being a thing that would come into place is if the country itself was already extremely overcrowded.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if we just didn't have any space left and it was a burden on our resources, right?
But it's like, sorry, you can't come in.
Yeah, well, we got plenty of room. We got plenty of stuff. So, yeah. I think a lot of times that whole thing is like, there are jobs out there. They're just not necessarily jobs that people want, you know?
A trash picker upper.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you,
A
there's
dog
jobs.
Garbage man.
Yeah, a trash picker.
I swear, since this summer, like, they're saying people have lost their jobs. I've seen, like, now hiring signs all over the place.
People are just.
My dad can work at Subway, let's go.
I'm agreeing with you there.
I think the
Roger.
people who are more against that was just the people that are upset because someone more skilled than them, that was an immigrant, got their job instead of them.
Yeah, maybe.
And then they just blamed it on immigrants, not just their lack of ability.
I think you're probably
You
right.
see, I think all the jobs and stuff now, I think if you're in the oil club, I kind of understand where they're coming from because like my dad, the company my dad works for, they let off like 60% of the company.
Yeah.
And so now they're trying to find new jobs back
Right.
in the oil field because
Right, and that's the thing with the oil company. Like, if your job training is in oil, like, you don't want to just like quit oil and go work fast food because it with oil it's so fickle and it's so up and down that it'll open back up and there'll be a job for you waiting. You know, like that's a tricky one.
And for that,
Yeah.
it's gotta go to the seniority of how long you are.
That's true. That's true. So, yeah, it's a weird thing. They wanted graduated income tax, so taxes the wealthy at a higher rate, and they wanted a shorter workday, which just makes sense. We still work more hours than other countries. There are some countries who don't work as much as we do. So they did have some success in campaigns and in elections. They were able to get some senators in there. Their presidential candidate, William Jennings Bryan, he did pretty good. They never got a president elected or anything like that, but they did have some populist senators and stuff like that in there. He's real popular. He'll come up again in the unit we talk about the 1920s. He's a pretty popular dude. But yeah, so no candidate, no like, oh Jesus Christ, it's doing it again. No president or stuff like that. Just other stuff. The thing that the populists did do. Come on, I believe in you. Oh come on! All day long, this has been doing this, guys. You don't even know.
You might just have to click through it.
This is why I
That is-
haven't
is that
been
not-
able to record like the last two periods. It's because it just keeps messing up.
We can just do it like that.
I'm just
Well,
yeah.
once
I'm
you
just-
get it loaded, turn your Wi-Fi off, and then.
That's a smart idea.
But are you wireless or are you plugged in?
Like you think that if I turn my
Alright,
Wi-Fi
hang
off,
on, hang on. Are you wireless
It'll
or are
get
you
stuck
plugged
like
in?
that, and it won't.
am I what?
Are you wireless or are you plugged in?
Well, that right now is running that.
Yeah, I know, but are you airplaying it or no? You're
No,
plugged in with an HDMI to a whatever. Yes.
that is just projecting what's on my computer
Okay,
right now.
because if you turn your Wi-Fi off in your airplane, then it's gonna affect the connection. But now try it.
It should work right now. Like now it won't even present. Like,
No, pull the thing.
oh, the dirt. You think that'll work? Nope.
Or go over to view. Instead of going over there to that percent, go to view.
Yeah.
Then try that.
What's 2% button?
Or reload the page.
I guess. I don't know what it's doing. It's just having problems.
It's happening on Monday.
Yeah, it's definitely doing that. I know.
Just skip school. Yeah, some schools get like wrestling, for instance. They get COVID days that they get to get off for the janitors to clean their school.
Well, that
That's the
sounds
weekend.
fun. Let's do that.
Wait a second. I
They
have
get
an
off on Fridays. Some Fridays.
We'll
are
just
Monday.
do this. This will be better than nothing.
idea.
So the Populist Party faded out and fizzled out, but it did leave its mark on our history, the idea of third parties, and we still have third parties: the Libertarian Party, the Tea Party, the Independent Party. There's a Green Party. There's actually, if you look up like a list of political parties that are registered in the United States, there are quite a few. The Nazis have a political party. The KKK has a political party. the marijuana party exists. There's like a pansexual peace party. I'm telling you, there's like literally anything that you can think of. There is a political party for.
Where's the Miss Rose political party?
Absolutely not.
Why does it have to be?
That's just anarchy all
Sorry,
day
right
long.
now I'm stretching.
It's just anarchy. Basically, elections are decided by playing a round of Among Us, and the imposters just go.
Political.
So yeah, so we still have third parties. Those political those ideas that the populists had were adopted into the major political parties, and we were able to do those things. Hold on, let me. So the idea is that like it stopped being populism and started being progressivism. This idea that hey, like we got to improve society. The government should try to fix these problems. The government is corrupt, and so the government must be reformed. That was the idea. We must reform our government.
Right.
I believe there's 2 blanks there: fix and reformed.
You haven't been writing the whole time.
Did you not notice the blanks when you got your paper?
I have been writing the whole time.
No, you haven't.
But would y'all like to refresh my mind on
Supported.
the first one through whatever one we're at right now?
Wait, where are we at?
We'll get it. We'll pick it up later.
Next page.
Last page.
Last page. Yeah, I was at that one too.
I was
Come on,
trying to
do
take
that.
your paper over. Turn it up.
So to give people more power, when we say that the government, or we
No, right there.
you got it?
Yes, right there.
When we say that that during the progressive era we became more democratic, we just mean that there was more power given to the people. We did that in several ways. A secret ballot. I'm telling you, it's just
Whose phone is going off?
cures a lot of
I'm not
problems.
doing that.
Initiative, a referendum, and recall. So the idea that voters can initiate laws and then also vote on them, or initiate bills and then vote them into being a law. And then recall is probably the one that we've used the most, because that is to get people out of office. What are you doing over there, Jade?
I was turning off my phone.
So the idea that you can remove somebody from office, that's a big one.
Surprised they didn't have secret ballots from the beginning. It just makes sense.
It does just make sense, but
Oh my God.
you know.
One of them.
I think that I don't know. I think it may have something to do with some weird honor system and stuff like that. You know, I don't know. It's just strange. And then direct election of senators. There were 4 constitutional amendments that were passed during this time: 16, 17, 18, 19. Very quickly, 16 is a income tax. 17 is direct election of senators. 18. If you remember, I told you that people thought that alcohol was the ruin of our country. They thought that if we could stop people from drinking alcohol, it would change everything and make everything better.
Because it was their worst issue.
So, yeah, right? Like, pick one thing and we'll just focus on that. When they passed the 18th Amendment, which was prohibition, which outlawed alcohol, it had the opposite effect. All of a sudden, you had a black market for alcohol. You had underground bars. You had the mob getting really big.
You had Jim Tom transporting moonshine.
You had bootleggers transporting moonshine. Yeah,
Jim
it
Tom is my
was
favorite moonshine.
crazy. So it went from, you know,
Pickle.
being an issue, like not a big issue, but something that people, you know, got all pissy about, to being like something that caused major crime in our country. So because the crime rates, and it wasn't just like the crime rates associated with drinking, it was all the extra stuff. Like it was the guns and the mob and the killing people and the, you know, the bootleggers and all this other stuff that rose from it. So it actually
That's a good
increased crime.
We should watch that show here.
What?
Moonshiners.
Yeah, right?
Watch Jim Tom and Pickle do it.
You would think that they, like, I mean, like, they're showing that they're doing, like,
They're getting paid to do it.
I know, but, like,
Great show.
I just feel like the cops would know where they
No,
are.
the cops are on the TV show.
They're probably paying off the cops. It's got to be.
Have you not seen that TV show?
I know what you're talking about. I don't think
Like
I've ever
they used to,
seen.
they
They
show
go hide out
undercover
in the
cops and they're trying to find them. There's still sites off in the woods. And they'll go bust them up.
Oh, I
And
thought it was the other way. I thought it was the
Just like-
moonshiners and they were hiding from the cops.
it is. It's like
Oh, it's both sides. Oh, like a cat and mouse game.
yes.
Wow.
Kaden, what's a
Like,
steal?
fake.
What do you
You
mean?
put your mash in your steel.
Making the moonshine.
And then you just.
And then the last one is 19th Amendment, which is women's rights vote. We
When you
talked
get a
about.
lizard, private part, you use it as your little thing. You stick it in your little drain. and
A
it's
lizard?
Uh-huh.
All right, there we go.
What kind of?
You learn something new every day. I tell you what. Civil service reform we talked about. Make sure you don't give government jobs to your friends. Make sure you give them to people who are qualified. Yeah, that's really important. So the three presidents that we had during this time were Teddy Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, and Woodrow Wilson. Now, Teddy Roosevelt,
They have some lovely teeth.
they do. Teddy Roosevelt has.
Dang,
some
why is there
teeth.
teeth on
Teddy Roosevelt is like this. If like there was a presidential action figure, like he would be the first one. You might remember Teddy Roosevelt. You all know him. You just don't know you know him. So
He
here,
played on Night in the Museum, didn't
he didn't, but Robin Williams played him on that. As a
I
movie.
love that
he?
movie.
Have you seen a new Night in the Museum?
I have.
I need you, pal! Someone call my name. Theodore Roosevelt at your service. Teddy, can you get us out of here? Can't do it, man. This is your moment. Will you save the lectures, please? I'm not you, okay? I didn't build the Panama Canal. I was the president of the United States. I need some help. Come on. Actually,
I love Robin Williams.
That dude right there?
I never did any of those things. Teddy Roosevelt did. I was making the mannequin factory at Poughkeepsie. I never shot a wild beast. I'm not even brave enough to tell that beautiful woman I love her. But you gotta finish the job this time. You can't quit. You need a wax, Larry. What are you made of?
Ooh, dun dun dun. I'm telling you.
Keep playing it. I'll watch the rest of it.
I can't. You know, we gotta go.
I'll hear it.
It's a great
I like
movie. Maybe at the end of the year after the EOC, we can watch it.
Maybe we can watch it on Friday.
Maybe not. So when Teddy Roosevelt was a wee little lad, he was a sickly child, but he grew out of it. When by the time he was a teenager, he was an athlete, a big game hunter. He used to go to Africa on safari and shoot rhinoceroses and stuff like that. He was the New York City Police Commissioner. He built the Panama Canal. He
By himself.
not by himself, obviously. He oversaw that transaction. He was an officer in the Spanish American War. He was governor of New York. He became president when William McKinley was assassinated. It's kind of interesting because William McKinley's vice president, I can't remember what happened to his original vice president, but he was gone, and William McKinley appointed Teddy Roosevelt as his vice president. He was not elected, he was appointed. And then William McKinley died, and Teddy Roosevelt became president. So Teddy Roosevelt actually became president without being elected president or vice president.
Is he appointed?
He was,
Wow,
he was
that's lucky.
he was appointed. He was also the second youngest president that we've ever had.
All of us.
He was like 36 or
Holly
37.
gets elected president or appointed president.
Why does it always
Why
you know
is it
use
always
somebody
not
else's example?
Gosh,
Who,
me and Mr. Warren
who was the first young?
He does look like Mr. Wernicke.
Who was the first youngest?
I said Mr.
JFK.
Warren and me always.
Oh, really?
How old was he? Like 36 or I don't remember, y'all. It was
Mr.
young.
Warren was showing off
What was I gonna say?
when he was playing that video.
There he is on Mount Rushmore, who once gave a speech. He got shot while he was giving a speech, and he just kept going.
He got it.
He finished his
There's
speech,
that video of somebody.
and then he went to the hospital.
Yeah,
His
Oh,
economic,
right.
huh?
what president, somebody tried to shoot him, and he's like, oh, there's a shot, and continue going.
No, it was somebody.
The one where Reagan is giving the
Yeah.
speech. Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
know- I don't know
like
if
this
I-
week. Yeah, that's because he had already gotten shot and had survived. Hello.
I look like a car.
Balloon popped in.
What's your kid?
Last week. Where do I write? Square deal.
Megan, Coach Tittle needs you.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. He just said, "Can you send Megan?"
I'm scared.
So
Just kidding, I like
Megan, you should probably take your stuff. You have 6 minutes.
probably. So he did like the Meat Inspection Act, Pure Food and Drug Act, filed some trust, antitrust lawsuits, things like that. His motto was "Speak softly, carry a big stick." So he was a conservationist. Yeah, that's the word. And he started the national parks. So he served his 2 terms and then he went away. Even though it wasn't the law, every president followed that rule where you serve 2 times and then you go away. And his vice president, William Howard Taft, was nominated and became president. And Roosevelt, he just continued with what Roosevelt had started. And Roosevelt liked that a lot. Except then Taft started doing things that were not considered to be part of a progressive agenda. And when he started doing that, Roosevelt got kind of mad. So in 1912, when Taft ran for re-election, Roosevelt ran against him. He created his own political party and ran against him. And so you had 3 people. You had Roosevelt running, you had Taft running, and you had Woodrow Wilson. It split the vote, and Woodrow Wilson was able to become president. He basically continued the same kind of stuff, though, breaking up trusts, fixing the banking systems, and things like that. One of the things that he did was the Underwood tariff. So a tariff is a tax on imports, right? Jaden, you're in the market for a rocking chair, right? You need a rocking
I
chair,
don't need
right?
no rocking chair.
And you can buy one from Caleb, right? Caleb makes rocking chairs. He'll sell you one for $5. He is located in France, right? Or you can buy one from Caden. He sells rocking chairs as well. He's in Kentucky, but he sells them for $10. So who are you gonna buy your rocking chair from?
Me.
$5.
But you gotta pay for shipping and go and get it.
That's what the under.
$5, $10. You're gonna buy it from You're gonna buy it from Caleb.
Wow.
We're gonna
Because
buy
it's
it.
cheaper.
$5
It's not
one.
bad.
But it's
the
faster.
USA.
It's Amazon Prime shipping.
I got
$5
same-day
one.
delivery.
So anyway, most people may buy it from Caleb. It's cheaper anyway, right? So a tariff is a tax on import. So if there is a tariff, and that means that anything you buy from overseas, you have to pay $20 for, like a tax for, then you're gonna buy from
They're
Caleb.
not buying from you.
And I'm made in the USA.
Exactly.
Not
That's
immigrant
why.
made.
Tariffs are designed to keep the money within the country and to prevent like money from going overseas.
Statue of Liberty was not made in the United States.
That's right. It's made in France.
Wait, now I'm about to shut up.
To make up for the lost income for the tariffs, we decided to pass the 16th Amendment, which gave Congress the power to tax a person's income. Does anybody in here work a job, an actual job where you get paid every 2 weeks?
I get paid every week.
Do you love looking at your check stub and seeing how much money the government
No.
gets? Isn't
No.
it just
I
great?
don't look anymore.
I
I just
don't
get it
get it.
automatic. to my
I
account.
know. It's just depressing. It's
I don't get
all.
to take my check, so I don't really know how much I pay.
It's just depressing.
My dad controls it.
You shouldn't.
It's direct
Oh,
deposit.
My dad.
I like
All right, that's it for today. Why is this not letting me click off?
Like,